Hello, 6th grade. This is Let's Be Rational. Investigation 4.2 Summary Notes, Multiplication and Division Fact Families. So our whole idea is to be able to find the value of our variable, which in this case is n. And if I'm looking at whole numbers, 18 divided by n, 18 divided by some number is 6. And I would have to say probably the majority of you would go, oh, well, that's 3. N has a value of 3. But when we get to harder things like fractions, we're not going to be able to do that. So we want to be able to write our fact families. So when we're dealing with division, our first fact family is to switch the second two numbers. So I get 18 divided by 6 equals n. The next thing is to work in reverse and use the inverse operation. And my inverse operation, if I'm going in that direction, means I switch my sign. And I say 6 times n equals 18, right? That makes sense. What number times 6 gives me 18? And then use the commutative property and say n times 6 equals 18. Notice I'm using the dot because I don't want to use the multiplication x, or it's usually frowned upon, because you cannot sometimes tell the difference between an x as a variable and x as a multiplication sign. So my goal, the one I can use, is my yellow one. Why is that my most useful? Because the n is by itself. I can do 18 divided by 6, which is 3. So 3 is the value of n. So that's my goal, is to always find that one fact family that's going to give me the n by itself. All right, so my goal is to get the n by itself. Let's write that. So we want our goal, let's write in blue. We want our goal to have n by itself. Goal, or the variable, in this case it's n. Goal is to have n, or the variable, by itself. Okay, so the goal is to have n, the variable, by itself. So now let's look at one that we don't know off the top of our head, which is 2/9 divided by n equals 2/3. So as I go through and I look at my fact families, if I did list them, you don't have to list them if you could pull off by the top of your head, is I'm first going to keep my division and flip these two. So I would have 2/9 divided by 2/3 equals n. Well, n's by myself, so I can go further than that. You don't need to write this, but then the next one would be do it in reverse, which would be 2/3 times n equals 2/9, and that doesn't help me because I can't solve. Or n times 2/3 equals 2/9. Again, the red doesn't help me solve for n. I can do 2/9 divided by 2/3. So let's do that. 2/9 divided by 2/3. I'm going to find my common denominator, divided by, which is going to be 9. So 3 times 3, so 2 times 3 is 6, equals n. Then I'm going to divide across. Remember, my numerator I'm just rewriting as 2/6, and 9 divided by 9 is 1, so I don't have to worry about that. And 2/6 equals n. All right, so remember, I'm simplifying this side because n already has, that side of the equation already has n. All right, so let's use the fact families now at the bottom, and I could say it's 1/3. So 2/3 divided by 1/4 equals n. Well, this one's nice because n's by itself. So all I'm doing here is finding a common denominator, which would be 12. 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 4 is 8, and then 4 times 3 is 12, so 1 times 3 is 3 equals n. Okay, notice I'm still leaving that n there. So now I divide by numerators and I rewrite it as 8 divided by 3, and my 12s cancel out. 12 divided by 12 is 1, so anything over 1 is itself, so that's why I have 8/3 equals n. And we're good right there. If you'd like to, and if you need to, express it as 2 2/3 equals n. All right, let's do one more. Oh, nope, two more. Two more? Yeah, two more. So here I have n divided by 4/5 equals 7. So I want to be able to once again get n by itself. So I have to write my fact families. So if I keep it division, it becomes n divided by, I switch my second two numbers, 7 equals 4/5. Well, that didn't get me my n by itself. All right, so now I have to go and deal with my multiplication. So remember, when I work in reverse, I change my sign. So now it's 4/5 times 7 equals n. Okay, and I could stop there because I have n by itself. So that's the fraction I'm going to use, which is 4/5, or that's the equation, times 7 equals n. Well, now I have to go back. Times. So now I have to go back and remember my multiplication. I just multiply across, multiply across. So 4 times 7, that's 28. And 5 times 1 is 5, which equals n. And there's my answer. And again, if it's required, make it 5 3/5 equals n. So finally, my last one, 2 4/5 divided by n equals 8. So I'm going to start with my fact families. Again, I have a division, so let's flip this and see if that helps. 2 4/5 divided by 8 equals n. I could stop there because n's by itself. I don't have to write the rest of the fact families, okay, which I will just to show you again. I'm going to now go in reverse. I flip, now I go in reverse, and I change my sign. N times 8 equals 2 4/5, and then 8 times n equals 2 4/5. So the green doesn't help us because the n's not by itself. So now I still have a division problem. And my division problem is 2 4/5 divided by 8 equals n. Again, we're looking for the value of n. So I need to change everything into improper fractions. So I get 14/5 divided by 8/1 equals n. I need my common denominators, which will be 5. That doesn't change. 1 times 5 is 5. 8 times 5 is 40 equals n. I now divide across. Room down here? Yep. Divide across. Rewrite 14 divided by 40 as my fraction. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Don't need to use that. And 14/40 or 7/20 equals n. So again, our whole goal using the fact families is to rearrange them properly so that our variable is by itself. Then I have that problem to be able to solve for the variable.